LA Beast here, and right now I'm freaking out because I just subscribed to the horror show here on YouTube. Have a good day.
Bienvenidos, Fright fans. Welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Jaime and Fuego here with a special review from a film that was just released, I believe, to VOD, but it had a 1-week limited theatrical engagement. That is none other than The Final Wish, written by Jeffrey Final Destination Reddick, directed by Timothy Woodward Jr. The director is of no note, but as I said, Jeffrey Reddick, man, Final Destination, easily one of my favorite franchises in all of horror, even if after the second one, they got a little cheese dicky until the fifth one. But man, and the fourth is terrible. But I mean, he was really the mastermind behind that series, and I appreciate the hell out of it. Unfortunately, despite having Final in the title of both of these, this really does not have any correlation in quality, and that's of no fault to the directing and to the production budget of this film. It's really, I don't even know if Jeffrey is necessarily to blame because of the fact that he wrote the story and then he co-wrote the script with 2 other people. But yes, The Final Wish was a major disappointment, and the fact that I actually went to a theater to see this. It's got has Lin Shaye. It has one of the dudes from Twilight films. I want to say, I can't remember who the hell he played, but he looked familiar from the first one or second one. I don't know. Trash cinema. But basically, it's kind of a riff in some ways on Wishmaster a little bit, and also Wish Upon, which honestly, Wish Upon, despite being PG-13 and more geared at kids, was a much more entertaining film than this. So yeah, I guess that is obviously my overall impression. I was very disappointed I went to a theater to see this. It was not. It didn't feel theater quality in a lot of ways, which unfortunately lots of stuff with horror that does these one-night only engagements or these 1-week limiteds, they probably should be just going to VOD or Redbox or a streaming service of some sort. And that's obviously where this one is going to live. So if I'm going to jump into story, basically you have this aspiring hotshot lawyer, and he didn't go to like a Princeton or a Harvard or something like that. He went I'm trying to remember if he got his degree from somewhere in Jersey or somewhere back east, whatever, but he did not get his law degree from a prestigious school. It took him time. He has left the small town where he grew up, and he has to go back after his father passes away. Mother is played by Lin Shaye. The film actually opens up with like a weird murder sequence like a couple decades before, or maybe not even a couple decades before. I'm trying to remember the exact specifics, but there's a guy who shows up at a house, crazy, killed wife, turns on daughter, all this different stuff, and then it flashes forward to this kid coming back home, and he encounters every single trope you could think of, from the old sweetheart is still there and she's dating the asshole sheriff who has it out for him, and the mom is like played by Lin Shaye, as I mentioned, but practically catatonic and slightly delusional and super depressed, and it was just like every single character, including the slightly schmucky lead, not interesting. I'm talking donuts, y'all. And I mean, especially since there's this artifact. I guess his deceased father was an antiques collector, and he was apparently homies with Tony Todd, who we see for like 5 minutes. You can tell he collected his paycheck. He was on set for probably a couple hours that day, and then he's like, "Peace out, thanks guys." And yeah, that was about the extent of it. Antiques collector, though, to get more specific, and the only time that they try to get interesting with things is describing backstory of this genie lamp looking thing that is presumably the culprit behind this lead character being able to turn his fortunes around once he gets back. Like, he's winning his old girl back over, he starts seeing his homie, and they're blazing out in the car and they're having fun and all this other stuff, although there is a twist about said friend, which, how could you have not seen it a mile away? I mean, really, this movie didn't do anything unexpected for me whatsoever, and as much as I love Final Destination, respect the hell out of Reddick and everything, I do feel like maybe, well, I don't even know if it could have been executed better necessarily, since it was grasping from so many different, trivial, just familiar things, and segueing into acting. This is tough because I hate just slamming a film, and it's what is coming naturally in this particular case, but I'm gonna try. I mean, the lead, he's just okay. He's not as bad as a lot of the others. Lin Shaye, unfortunately, she really feels like she's just mailing this one in, and I've seen tremendous acting from her, whether it's, you know, of the hilarious variety in Kingpin, you know, or whether it's, I mean, you know, the stuff in the Insidious film. She's terrific, and so she has proven, especially in these later years of her career, I would probably estimate that she's bigger than she's ever been before, which is cool for her. And so, yeah, she's in high demand, especially in horror, despite the fact that, you know, the Farrelly brothers love the hell out of her, you know, something about Mary and aforementioned Kingpin and whatnot. But, yeah, she doesn't really feel like she's with it. And the love interest, oh boy, she's beautiful to look at, but her acting sucks. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad, especially some of the dialogue delivery. I mean, like, she can give the googly eyes and have the decent mannerisms and stuff like that, but it's almost like, I've noticed this with a lot of pretty women, not just actresses, that often when they open their mouths and try to talk, it's like, that's when the ugly comes out, that's when the real person comes out, you know, as far as the surface levelness that you all too often get. You gotta have that balance, guys, you know? So yeah, she's really bad. The friend is lame, and he's just like, why don't you ever call, man? You know, it's good to see you back in town. It's just like, oh my goodness, caricature after caricature. So yeah, acting is definitely on the poor side as well. As I mentioned though, cinematography and, like, you know, Woodward Jr. is not like some noteworthy name, even in low budget horror, even in the lowest of low budget horror, but he doesn't direct a bad looking movie. Him and the cinematographer made a good looking movie. It's everything that's transpiring within the constraints of the scripting that is so bad in this. And so, I mean, all the shots of the house and, I mean, some of the bits of the countryside and everything. I mean, I don't know. It didn't really feel like the most effort-filled excursion to make this look good, but it did look good. We've seen some real low-budget schlock on this channel, and of the money available, at least for the appearance and the color correction and, you know, some of the sweeping camera work and all that stuff, that was not lacking. That was actually probably in a lot of ways the best aspect of this, aside from a premise that I felt, despite the familiarity of it, could have gone in some interesting places had they actually deviated and tried to do something a little bit different, but they didn't. Practical and effects and stuff like that, there's not really a lot of gore or craziness in this film. I will say though that when we do finally get, because I mean, it's called The Final Wish, I'm pretty sure you know from just descriptions and stuff that it's gonna be about like evil genie, wish mastery, whatever, like I said. And I will admit, you know, without spoiling anything really, because once again, premise and, you know, so on, when you finally do get a look at said creature that's kind of pulling the strings and stuff, it actually looks pretty damn good. Gotta say, that is one of the other points and positives of that I will give to this film. But as a whole, I cannot recommend anybody going to check out The Final Wish, unfortunately, despite the 88 on Rotten Tomatoes. But film is subjective, as I all too often say, and I respect the hell out of Jeffrey Reddick, man. Dude is, you know, very talented, and perhaps the execution of this original idea on his part could have been better if he had, and this is, well, I guess this is me trying to throw his co-screenwriters under the bus, and perhaps I shouldn't even do that. I didn't think this was a good movie. Wasn't my cup of tea, and as opposed to beating a red-headed dead horse, I'm gonna leave it at that. So, I've been Jaime and Fuego, and you can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just Jaime, yeah, JAIMEENFUEGO, and yes, I'm covering all things of the cinematic variety, and we have 2 episodes, sometimes 3 a day here on the Horror Show. Everything under the horror umbrella. We greatly appreciate your patronage, and if you want to be patrons, we love having you tell us what to do. So if you want to do that little sign-on thing, you can suggest different reviews and commentaries and take part in some exclusive content before the general public gets a hold of it. So yes, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that jazz, and once again, greatly appreciated. And yes, until the Wheel of Ka comes around once more, or until this particular genie bottle is opened back up, I've been Fuego, y'all have been awesome, and until the next bit of content, remember, stay scared.